Well, guys, we want to tell you, we appreciate all the shares. We appreciate all the ratings and reviews and comments. Hit 5 stars on us on iTunes.
Make fun of Bryan's jeans.
They're not that short, really. They're scooting up.
Still something to make fun of.
YouTube's been a good place, too. We've got a lot of people watching on YouTube and checking them out, so we appreciate the reviews there, too, guys.
Because we looked at
I think the tickets were maybe $165, which I'd pay that all day long for that show. I mean, the talent... So, one of my friends' daughters is a gymnast, high level, dedicated life to it. So you can appreciate if you see some of that, what's happening in front of you with the skill sets. I mean, I'll go even further. To be able to be silly and goofy and put on the show they're putting on while still doing very, very difficult body movements, it takes so much practice. I mean, this one dude kept stacking chairs, and of course... They lock in with a little needle to keep the chairs from disassociating from each other. But the balance, that's not going to keep them from falling over.
No.
The balance and power keeps them from falling over. That just keeps them from sliding. This dude stacked them to the ceiling and kept climbing, and they'd hand him another one. And he got to the very top and stood on his hands and was doing all kinds of leg movements. One of the guys there that was on the kind of the men's team, you could tell they were all super strong. Literally had just come from being a gymnast at Michigan State. He had graduated, and you can tell this guy had been in that his whole life.
Freaky athletic.
The crazy part is these guys or these people can go to the Olympics and compete, every couple of years until they're not strong enough anymore, or you can go probably get paid really well to do that.
Yeah,
in Vegas.
We went. There was a guy it just was interesting what you can do, and like you said. What's it, the Bananas baseball team?
They were here last week. Maverick went with his stepdad.
You got the Globetrotters, but if you've ever played ball, to understand they're goofing off and smiling, and at the same time really playing a game.
While still doing it.
Yeah. While still making it happen, while still catching first of all, catch a baseball and do a backflip at the same time. I can't even do a backflip. I can catch the baseball. Yeah. The backflip part, I will be on my neck. It's just not going to happen.
My kids like to watch fall videos. You're not the only person that can't do a backflip. You're just smart enough not to do a backflip.
Because I know who I am as a person. That's not a backflip guy.
There's a million videos dedicated to people that...
Not a backflip guy.
What do they call it, a scorpion? Where you backflip and you hit your neck and then your spine breaks and your feet touch the ground.
That's what happened to this girl. She was 12.
Your spine break? No, we're not doing that. That is terrible. I'm trying to be walking around at 60.
Yeah, I let my kids know to stay off skateboards by watching fall videos. Do you realize how many of these, it was a good idea, and all of a sudden they're in the hospital with 18 different pins. And then they're not 40, right? Now, well, you're not either that, but you wake up at 40 and you're like, why does my hand hurt? Oh, I broke it when I was 15. Everything catches up.
Well, there's no stopping legacy on that. He watches the Ninja Kids. Does your kid see the Ninja Kids?
I haven't introduced yet, but...
Don't do it.
But
the Ninja Kids
I've heard Ninja Kids are...
Well, they're all adults now, basically.
They're amazing,
The cool thing about Ninja Kids is it's a YouTube channel completely safe for kids in every single way.
And decently, not as stimulating. And
not one video they've ever produced would be inappropriate for anyone in your house to watch at any given time.
What do you think of the dad?
Must be
analyze the dad?
Well, here's what I know about seeing him. They've got,
you saw him in
30 million. Though. They've got 30 million subscribers-ish with probably hundreds of millions of views. Probably 1.2 million of those would have been me and Legacy and Amber while in the hospital. He runs a very disciplined lifestyle in that every single one of his kids is a high-level gymnast and a brown or a black belt in their particular field. It's a school for kids. Their videos are done in such a way to where he had either contracted, done them, did something about it, or wrote it, or did something for years on it, all him. So what I would say about their dad, while also still coming across as a pretty down-to-earth dude, meaning in the videos you can tell there's camaraderie family-wise between his wife and the kids. And then I bring that all forward to October where we met them in person. And here's what I'll say about them. I mean, the answer to your question, I don't know, but my guess is as good as a human you could possibly be with mistakes. We met them, and this was, I think I told you guys this story. We got to take a picture with all of them. It was part of Legacy's deal, and we were waiting for the show. We went across the street to eat lunch, and Amber said, oh my gosh, our tickets show like meet and greet, but she goes, I don't see that they have the show on them or anything. Usually it shows like the time or whatever. And it ended up being that. It wasn't on purpose. She bought, you think you'd buy the VIP meet and greet, it would come with a ticket, but it didn't. I go back across the street to them. I walk up into the front of the line where people are standing in line, take pictures with them. And I was like, you're not going to believe this. I was like, we don't actually have tickets to this show. And she was like, well, what? This is the mom. And the dad was like, oh my gosh, get them tickets. She leaves the meet and greet, goes to the front of the outside of the building to the ticket counter, tells them to give us 3 family tickets on them, like that they have reserved.
They're will call tickets. Yeah.
And so we got those tickets. So we got the greatest tickets that we could have gotten in the first place. So I mean, I say all that to say, I think they're great people. I mean, you can do anything in front of a camera, but what we've experienced from them and watching hours of it and just consuming all their content is, I think that those people are amazing. If I was to recommend people to let their kids, because YouTube's a hard one, right? Yeah. It's got so much weirdness on it while still having so much good stuff. So you've got to go into the YouTube Kids app, which is a good place. They're on there. The crazy part is as they get older, some of their videos that portray the most mild amount of violence, it's recreations of the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
They make them put them on YouTube because of that.
Because of violence.
Because they've gotten older, too. And when I say violence, guys, golly, I've got it. How much can I use that word, but still with a lowercase v? It's choreographed.
Yeah, choreographed.
It's very choreographed, but it's well done. You could tell they went through a season of Power Rangers in their house because everything's about it. But also, they got contracts before almost anyone else did to promote these toys. And so the stories and the little deals they did were around toys. Hasbro was big back then, so they had these rubber figurines, all the stuff, and they were pimping out this stuff and Lego. So I don't know. To the Ninja Kids and to your question on that, they seem like amazing people. I mean, I'm sure there's mistakes and weirdness, but the way that the family even carries on their live videos and in how they were in person, if that's all fake, then they're the best at it.
Well, I looked at it because my daughter got obsessed with it too, right? I look at it from the way he's directing and coaching them. Then there's a couple episodes where he does a couple things. So he's not somebody asking his kids to do things he's not done. And to your point, he's created most of that. And what's the benefit to kids? Not when you can say a lot and be disciplinarian, but when you are disciplined and they see all that structure and they see all that vision come to life, there's a lot of benefit throughout your life being under somebody like that.
Here we are talking about resources for kids and stuff, because I know a lot of people actually battling this YouTube thing, which it is hard.
Well, YouTube sucks.
Another resource for people with kids, if you're giving your all's kids screen time, and I get it. Some people don't do any, and I get it. I think it's a massive mistake because all the kids I've ever known that I grew up with that had no screen time, when I mean that subjectively, when I was younger, we didn't have screens, but it would be there was this kid that wasn't allowed to do sleepovers with friends.
Yeah.
Well, you know what he did the second he got out of their barriers? I mean, he was banging and hitting and doing everything. So I get it. I think boundaries is the key. Moderation is key about everything. The Bible talks about everything in moderation. I don't think that screen time is the devil. I think that you got to moderate it. I think that kids coming up in this generation are going to be either very, very capable with technology and with the resources provided in their lifetime, or they're going to be very handicapped against everyone else because of their lack of any experience around it. You got to moderate them. And I think a lot of parents, guys, I've noticed a helicopter parent, but here's what I've noticed about some of them that don't want to let their kids, they want to be able to tell everyone that they're kind of they're virtue signaling around their rules with screen time. But you know what it really is they don't actually want to manage their kids' time and moderate it around what they're doing. So they're not really doing anything good. They're virtue signaling that they're such great parents, but the reason why they're doing it is they're too lazy to engage in the time with their kids being able to do this stuff or set the rules or, around even we talk about the VR. I know some people that have been like, my kids just aren't going to use that thing. And I'm like, why? So in the year 1997, when cell phones came out, were your stupid parents saying, my kids just aren't going to use cell phones because they're new?
Maybe.
But you've been using a dang cordless phone.
Yeah.
So
same tech, weirdos.
Here's what we decided, and it's just a frame of being in the world but working with so many men, like as they mature and what's going on with parents. First and foremost, anything that you do and you tell your kids are off limits, that's where they're going to rebel. That's the worst thing that you can do is do it and then tell them no. So the rules with tech that we have in the house, we follow too. That was my wife and I's biggest thing. The other thing is, like, if you don't have order in an area, there's going to be chaos, spill somewhere, right? And so you can process a lot of this tech. Bryan, you and I talked about this. I'm like, hey, got the thing. How did you set this up? Here's my thoughts. And he's like, here's what I did. So we actually had a parental control conversation on the meta.
Yeah.
Because my kid shows up to school and here's the conversation too. They're playing this game, doing the meta thing, all this. They're not even included in any of this if your kid's not engaging in something. And so it's lockdown. I have to approve absolutely everything. I check the game out before. I research it before. I do that with every movie too. And then they get a screen time. And that screen time rolls across all their devices. And I'm like, when you want to earn, we call it a brain break. And what I tell my kids specifically about tech, hey, when you want to jump into somebody else's imagination and turn your brain off, you can have 30 minutes of it once you earn it. But I want you to get back to using your imagination. The other thing that I do that I think people don't think about is, okay, they leave the house. So YouTube is terrible. The commercials are terrible. And I've mentioned this before. When my son was 9, I think Cade was 9, and I started with Kenna, I watched something that they like Dude Dad. Dude Dad, by the way, is awesome. For me, hilarious. Dude Dad's amazing. Dude Dad's so funny. If you haven't seen Dude Dad, Dude Dad's so funny. But hey, nothing bad on it. And so watch Dude Dad, and then these commercials come up. Well, what are they trying to tell us? Why are they coming up? Why are they against what you're watching? You know, and I start having those conversations because the best thing that I can do is help my kids think like me. And then when they get around stuff, my son's done it. I think my daughter may be rebellious. Like, they're different. Every kid's different. Right. But they're going to be around their friend with a phone that's completely unlocked. Yeah. They can do whatever he wants. And so that's just our philosophy on it.
Dude Dad is funny even for parents too, by the way. If you haven't seen Dude Dad, his
dude, he's the best.
The banter with him and his wife gives it just enough juice to where you can completely watch that one with your kids and be entertained. I like what's going on there. But Kellen, to your point, the reason why we tell the kids what we're setting on there, like Maverick and I had a big conversation on VR. He's super good at Gorilla Tag, like pro style, but he needed to know what and why I'm keeping him from certain things so that he knew what to look for if it happened on accident, you know?
Right.
And when he is at friend's house and stuff, and he learns the give and take between, I'm going to let you have a little bit of something maybe I'm not sure about, but I need to make sure that you're going to do it in the way that we can get used to it, the most comfortable and safe way. And he's responded really well to it. So it's important that we tell him why. I've noticed with kids, if you tell them, and I know there's a lot of parenting better than mine and people that know more, but this is my experience, is if you tell kids they can't do something, but not at least some reasons why they can't do it, they're going to explore it because the original need to do it was curiosity in the first place. So if we're going to let them be curious and then set a rule on top of the curiosity, get ready for some nonsense because they want to know. They don't really want to do anything wrong. They wanted to just know in the first place. So have that conversation with, here's why we're doing this. Here's why we're trying to help you along with it. We're not trying to keep you from something. We're trying to protect you from something.
So I'll double down on that. And my rebellion in certain areas, and my dad did a lot right. But the one thing that he always said, because, dude, I don't know if you guys can imagine, I was an energy ball. Like, I did not quit coming. Quit talking, just go, and was driving my dad's nuts, right?
We know, bro. We know.
So it's question. A lot of the feedback was because I said so. And so everything that my dad said that was because I said so, the second he wasn't looking, I went and figured it out, or I did it just in spite of him. So I've answered, and Cade's a lot like me, but that kind of helps too. Like, my dad sees Papa, granddad now, sees his grandson laugh at me. He's like, oh, you got like a double dose. Like, this is exactly like you. He never calms down.
That's funny.
Never slows down. Asks 50,000 questions in a row.
Oh, that's Clark. Yeah. He's just so much mean.
So I've answered him, but he's mentally highly capable. He's an incredible kid. He's just this way, and Sissy's this way. What I've noticed, so he's 12. She's asking questions. You know who's answering the why? Half the time, him. He's answering the same way Dad did, telling her completely why, what to think about, all these different things. So he listens and takes it in. And I think when we talk about like being mentally healthy and getting through our crap as adults, you can't be burnt out around your kids. There's a cost. You have to have you call it the juice. You have to have the energy and the presence to answer the dadgum question for your kid.
Another really good resource on YouTube as we turn the corner is
the juice. Got the juice.
On YouTube. It's called, they're called Wolfpack. It's the Hall family.
Yeah.
Another really good one. I would say that this group's a tad more edgy than the Ninja Kids, but also pretty open with belief system on their videos. They turn into werewolves. So again, a dad created a persona that they thought was fun in a generation that was growing up around monetizing YouTube, and have done a really good job with sucking in like an audience that would be very, very friendly for everyone. I heard someone tell me, and these people were so self-righteous that they were just drowning in nonsense. They were like, I just think that portraying werewolves is evil. I'm like, being you is evil. Portraying werewolves is awesome. So I don't get all wrapped up into that. Those are the kind of people, again, that were like, we're not going to use cell phones, but we're going to use cordless phones, you idiots. So,
well, and if you have younger kids,
religion's hard.
Oh, Paw Patrol.
Hey, or they've got the Harry Potter books, you know.
Well,
I love
here's the deal. And you guys have a little bit older kids, so you guys are talking to dads who might, have 6, 7, 8, 10, 12-year-old kids. A good one I found he doesn't ever speak bad. No, there's a guy named Danny Go, and Danny Go's super fun, and he has a bunch of fun songs. It's mainly for like under 5, but super fun songs.
What's the lady's name? Miss
What?
The lady with the songs. Real big.
Oh, Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel. Lord, yeah. Miss Rachel.
No, Danny Go's really good, and we saw him live, and he was super. He was really super great live.
Still Daniel Tiger.
Yeah, Daniel Tiger's great.
2, 3, 4 years
He's
old.
Got tons of good.
Mr. Rogers carried on.
Tons of good lessons for your kids.
I still want to turn like a crossbow at myself when he comes on, but I get it.
Hey, I want to stream. I think I'm going to go stream Mr. Rogers later.
Dude, Mr. Rogers is the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Fred Rogers is incredible. I
have questions there.
He's amazing.
Hey, have you seen him stand up to people in court?
Did you ever watch the Tom Hanks It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood movie?
Yes. Which is why I have more questions.
You shouldn't have any questions after watching that. He was amazing.
Why does he change clothes all the time?
That's fair. That's
fair.
As long
as you don't say Coco Melon.
No, heck no.
Say Coco
we
Melon.
did not ever watch that.
That
no.
or
we think it's okay for the wolf thing because we grew up in Teen Wolf.
Say, hey, so at your true.
Clearly not allowed to have one bad word in it.
It's so sad. Do you ever go back and watch that? And you're like, oh my gosh, it's terrible.
I've been
watching. It was
watching
the best show ever
for the last 2 years.
Makes me sad.
2 to 3 years, really. I've been watching everything on the planet I was never allowed to watch, either as a kid, teenager, or even a freaking grown married person. So I've been catching up on shows.
You keep finding those people, don't you?
Man, I have all the things to say about that. So before we get too serious, I want to tell you guys about a test I took earlier, but I was
Where'd you take this test?
It was at counseling.
Brother showed up. He showed up for the counseling.
While I was gone, they tossed out the Kevin Hart roast. Did you guys watch that yet?
I haven't watched it.
Lord have mercy.
I saw it. It was
so
on there.
I've only seen half of it. I want to watch the rest tonight, but of course, every joke hilarious, annihilatingly hilarious. My favorite. I've said this a million times. If I was an alter ego or in a different dimension, stand-up comedy would definitely be my thing, and that style would be my favorite. Like the roast style is just writing jokes about things going on in the world. I mean, I could do that, but being able to just freestyle on people would be my favorite. But this one, and this is the only one. I mean, there were
Takes me
more,
back
but
to
this
seventh
is the
grade.
one that sticks
6th
out.
and 7th grade.
The jokes were
We had
bad.
the
I'll tell you
hallway
one
for it.
after this that will freaking kill you. But this one was funny. They said something about, like, they just said that they go, Kevin Hart. They said, we didn't know if it was Kevin Hart or it was just like something that they scraped out of the rock on his last colonoscopy. Oh, they were just some funny things like that. That were just nailing the dude. And they said they were just going after him hard. It was so funny. His wife was there too. And one of the guys on there, his name is Jeff. He's the bald-headed guy. He's like a roast master. He's a white dude. He's on all of these things, and he's just talented with
Jeff,
this.
the
Is he
white
the
man
one that
roast
making
master.
facial expressions?
Something
Kinda
like that.
heavy
He's
set
just
guy?
funny.
Like
He's not real
moderately-
big. Yeah.
moderately heavy
Shaved
set?
head, shaved face.
Yeah.
Looks like gold member. But he says, he goes, Kevin Hart has a 44-inch vertical. You know how I know? So he can actually kiss his wife on the lips. Just funny stuff like that. He's talking about
We're gonna be
though,
off
just
the rails
nailed his
quick.
dad the whole time. Apparently, Kevin Hart's dad exited stage left and was a coke addict, and they railed on it. They railed on
that's
it.
rough.
Oh my gosh! But everything that they do on these, by the way, everyone knows is permissible on the front end. So like these people talk before. And they sign up for it. They sign up for it.
They're not like just.
It's
Hey, we're gonna have this Netflix special, and everybody's gonna be there, and then you're gonna get killed.
well, he went
for
hard
it.
on Tom Brady because he set up Tom Brady's roast
Tom
last
Brady's
year,
roast
which was so
too
good.
much.
Well, you're on there because I mean, you in your field you made it.
Yeah,
Like everybody wants to be like the top
Be
of
you.
the mountain is you in that industry. In that
And to be
specific
able to
place.
handle that takes all the balls. But so he's railing on Tom Brady. Well, Tom Brady was a special guest and walked out behind him. And so Tom Brady roasted him for a little bit, and then he hit him with this deal. He goes, well, I've got to get out of here. I've got to go settle some more affairs in Las Vegas, and then stopped and look at Kevin Hart, and he goes, kind of like the affairs you've had in Las Vegas, because years ago, Kevin Hart had cheated.
Ooh.
It was a long time ago, but it was a thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But they went after Tom Brady too. I mean, they zinged him to death about his divorce and the lady on his. It was almost sad. Like, I'm like, how is he handling this? So anyways, I thought fun. This is not one of the resources that we would be talking about on YouTube for your kids, by the way. The roast of Kevin Hart is for sure adult programming.
No, Rover. Who is it? It's the engineer guy for kids that makes all the different stuff. Let me look him up. It's really
Engineer
good,
guy
too.
for
Listen,
kids.
Blue's Clues coming back. Steve coming back to TikTok.
Dude, that is it.
I have no clue, but what Kellen just did would be an example of
Mark Rober.
what happens with you guys. We're going this way, and then Kellen just from the passenger seat just yanks on the wheel just to see what'll happen and throws us in.
Did the guy that started talking about turds when we were talking about healthy stuff for kids online just get on to me for
yeah.
coming back to a kids program? Did he say that he went off roading and now he's blaming me for the actual like pavement?
There are a lot of. Did we hit our live button too? Oh, I didn't know if it just looked different this time.
He hasn't got
It was
any
weird.
text about his jeans, so he's kind of confused.
It just looked weird.
I got these on. They're,
So
they're nice. They're comfy.
we'll take a few minutes on something a little more direct, but I think it's fun to chit chat about things going on, like the big fight tonight. I think that's fun too. I've been a
think it's
fight follower
incredible.
forever.
Well, you market well, and so I mean, this Netflix thing, and Jake Paul's a great marketer, right? Nobody
maybe
knew
one
as
of the
much
best.
about
Jake
nobody-
Paul is
hey,
an elite.
You know who I've
marketer.
seen
He's
online?
I hate him, but he's
online
elite.
on every streaming service in everybody's feed more than anybody in the last 6 months is Ronda Rousey. Never wanted to, never knew more about somebody. She is everywhere.
Also hasn't put a fight on in a while.
10 years.
The girl, a little bit less than that, but you're not far. But Gina Carano hasn't fought in 10 to 12 years. Some people may not even know who she is until I tell you, and then you'll know. But she literally started women's MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Gina Carano was a bigger, stronger Ronda. In a non-weird way, but this is important as it comes to marketing and fighting and women in sports. Super pretty, too. Like, she was she had everything.
She was
And
Ronda
so-
before Ronda, and Ronda
Yeah.
just took social media and went
Yeah, Gina was
to
her
the
own thing.
moon.
For people that don't know who I'm talking about, Gina Carano also played in for a while The Mandalorian. She actually stood up against Disney in a lawsuit now because of her explanations of faith, her conversations around it. She's never said anything racist or weird or anything. She just simply stood up for what she believed, and Disney tried to cancel her. And Gina stood up against that, which I had a lot of respect for, because she was a phenomenal fighter. She's a great actor. She's doing great things in her life. And of course, you know, someone wants to talk about their faith and they're going to get canceled over it. But tonight, Gina and Rhonda, who are absolute staples around influence with females, from younger girls to grown women, are fighting tonight. And I think that's cool, because when we talk about a world to where, you know, so many things are classified as like men's things or women's things, I'm into fighting a lot. So I think for younger girls to be able to even watch two women be able to put on a spectacle with their trade is cool. These things are not street fights. I mean, these women have been training forever. Rhonda's an Olympian medal winner in judo. And so,
and if you can't hit her or take her out and she gets a hold of you, it's bad news for
it'll
everybody.
be bad.
Oh, it's light. It is light.
I think that it'll be cool to see, but I think the fight I'm looking forward to the most, so that you guys know what to be looking for on that fight card tonight, is going to be Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. Nate Diaz is obviously just kind of known as like a street gangster. Him and his brother have been fighting in every arena and street that's possible. They've always pushed back against society and culture in general around what's appropriate and what's not, and that's what makes them kind of a great sideshow.
They walk the edge.
They don't care. But what I love about that is the Nate Diaz you get in a press conference or on a camera. Here you get him completely in private. That's just the way they are.
Well, it's like he didn't go through media training, and they were just like, Nate, go out there and do stuff, and he's like, this is who I am,
or wouldn't conform.
Yeah,
or just wasn't going to conform.
Yeah.
He's fighting the King of Violence, Mike Perry. Mike Perry got the name King of Violence because when his contract sucked at the UFC, he knew he could get more, so he went to bare knuckle fight promotion, which again, pretty like crazy. I don't know that. I wouldn't necessarily.
Some of the
be
fights
into
are hard
kids
to watch to
watching
the end.
bare knuckle.
That's violence.
Because it's very much violent. I appreciate it, but I wouldn't. My kids have never seen bare knuckle, at least with me.
If you take the pumpkins on Halloween and the kids that went around and grab them and put them over their head and slam them, that's what some people's faces look like at the end of the fights.
Well, what I love about Mike Perry and anyone who's going to
It's terrible, man.
stepping in a ring, you already have my uttermost respect to do so. But if you're going to get in there with nothing on your hands but tape, even more than that. And this dude is an absolute brawler. We knew that in the UFC. This is an example of there being rules in the UFC. So in some ways, a little bit of a boundary for a guy like him, because certain people are going to train the disciplines better than what he had trained them or know more about them. But when you pull the Band-Aid off and you put them somewhere where the trades are good, but when you get into an arena to where you can't lean on certain things,
Like a street fight.
It's going to be a street fight more so than other ways. And so some people are into that. I definitely am. But those two are going to fight tonight. Of course, it'll be normal MMA rules with gloves. So I would say the biggest thing for tonight, if you're going to let your kids or teens watch the show, the problem that has arisen in the fight world, at least in my opinion, over the last 2 decades, is the promoters and the people that put these shows together try to combine all things that the public might want to see in one place. Therefore, you're going to have, you have a ring girl situation. You're likely going to have certain maybe acts of, entertainment, whether it be music or whatever. So be cautious about those kinds of things. My biggest complaint around those things is dicey too. I've always been annoyed. Legend has watched fights with me for years, and I've just always been annoyed. Now, I will say the UFC does pretty good about this. On TV, you never see the ring girls, except for they'll pan to them going to or from commercial, and they're sitting down or whatever. So you're going to see it a little bit, but they don't show the whole, girl strutting around the ring. I mean, you get to see that live. That's a live thing, but they use that time to promote, so you won't see a lot of that. But tonight, these cards are more like, so the UFC is like an Apple iPhone. It's got more boundaries on it. Tonight's card will be more like an Android. These more open shows, they don't block out anything. I mean, there will definitely be ring card girls. There will definitely be music, probably rappers acting, or doing entertainment. So that sucks, but they're just trying to draw in every amount of the crowd they can to engage in the product.
What time is it
I get it from
tonight?
that. It'll be later on. I mean, it'll probably start 8 or 9 o'clock.
I think one of the things that bridges the conversation you were having, remember growing up, like Married with Children was a bad show?
I wasn't allowed to watch it.
I wasn't either. That or Roseanne. Was anybody allowed to watch
I've seen a couple episodes of Roseanne, but they were after I turned 20, and I've never heard of this Married with Children.
Yeah, so it's yeah.
Right, y'all. I am way younger than you guys. I'm way younger than you guys. You
So
cannot be.
that's the age difference of that and everybody else. He doesn't know what
That
Married with
show
Children
set the family unit of TV watching on its axis. It was pivotal around who was going to let their kids watch what. Bundy, and when you go back and watch it, guys, honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. Just for that time.
But that's what I'm saying.
For that time.
That was my point is, you brought up these fights, Brian. Like, you have 2 kids in the house. We've dealt with this before. They go in the back and play some stuff. And depending on the post-fight interview or what they choose to show on some of the fights, it is incredibly difficult to even weed stuff out as an adult and have a kid in the house anymore. You can't watch anything.
Yeah, you can't.
And go back to Married with Children. We watch it. Yeah, he was an old perv. Yeah, there's some dynamics in there that are sexist and things like that. But the visuals were nothing like now. Like on normal shows too. And that's the challenge that we see when we talk about YouTube sucking, by the way, is you'll have a show that's clean and they'll promote a commercial that's like an X-rated commercial right in the middle of your clean kid show on YouTube because it's not YouTube Kids. It's terrible.
Well, if you watch
I'm in
it,
IT.
if you strand it
I see all
together,
of those.
watching shows with the kids and watching videos from these kids, the ads definitely is what gets off. I mean, if you're watching scheduled programming on there, you're searching specifically the people you watch and the creators you watch. Yeah, you're not going to see anything you don't expect. But when they hit these ads, it'll be an ad about anything from, paying for things you shouldn't see. It'll be just weird stuff like that starts to kick up. That's what I notice about it for the most part. I think though what you're
is the thumbnails. Remember, like
yeah.
back in the day,
because you want to click on them.
Hey, fast.
I know.
No, I want to know.
Thumbnails.
No, you don't know what I'm going to ask. Did you ever have a channel that you watched that was the information channel and you had to let it go up and down?
The guide?
Yeah. Did you ever see?
Yeah.
Know what the guide is? I just checking. I mean, you may have
Yeah.
been
No,
past
that was very much a thing that we. But my mom and dad also kept the TV guide book on the TV every
That
week.
was my dad who wrote it like 3 and 4 years old.
You let that thing roll down a little bit and see
You see
some
some
Skinamax, some squiggly hoots. You let it roll down enough into the hundies.
But see, that's you had to read and you saw a description. Now, when I talk about YouTube and other things, and Tiff, to your point, the things that are just new and out that it puts at the very top, regardless if you ask for them or not, and you can't go in and customize this, is the visuals all over the freaking place just to sign into the dadgum app. It's pretty crappy.
Well, being able to completely moderate out in today's technical world is impossible. And so therein comes the conversation around, well, my kids just aren't going to do anything. No screens. We're wholesome. We're doing picnics in the park and we're doing this together. And that's great, except for at what level are you handicapping your kids around the real world just because you can't have a strong boundary-centered conversation around what the world's going to offer them the very minute they leave your house every single day? This isn't us saying, hey, get a subscription to, the skin tube. We're saying have a conversation around what they're going to get, hit with at everyone else's house, at their school, at their church, by the way, likely at their dang church or youth group before any of these other places, because everyone's sending their kids to church and private schools to get fixed because they don't want to have any of these conversations at home.
With cell phones.
Which is the very same conversation. You talk to these people, they send their kids to these different schools and youth groups for their kids to get taught in certain things and different boundaries and how to be, when all those conversations should have originated at home with those weak parents who didn't want to face anything. I mean, no one's going to judge you for having to deal with hard stuff. Lord, people get divorced. People go through hard things. I think more so where I start to try to judge these situations is, did you talk about it? Are you facing it? Are you handling it? Even dealing with tough kids, I've learned at first it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if anyone to know that my kids aren't perfect. Well, then you meet lots and lots of people who are having the same issues with a kid or whatever. I mean, kids are kids. They're going to do weird stuff. I mean, especially when you go through adoption situations or you have kids that have been fostered or you're just dealing with kids that maybe have some weird wiring in your own household. I mean, it's not that weird to have things going on, but what's weird to me is people who think they're going to send their kids to a youth group. And this happened all through my teenage years. I remember parents sending kids to the once a week youth group we were in thinking that was it. I'm like, this isn't it. They're coming here. They're largely going to socialize. Mm-hmm. This all starts at home where you're not willing to have a hard conversation, which it's the same conversation that's around screen time. It's like, instead of completely eliminating life from your kids, because not every thing that has bad things in it is bad, is talk to them about what we're not going to do and why, but here's what we are going to do and how we're going to do it. I don't see the problem with that. And I think that's why I think too, I mean, there's two sets of people to me. The very legalistic, traditional people that are like, we're just not doing this because. And then it's the people that like, there probably is a third one. But then the second one for me is, we're not going to do this because this is what sounds good to all my Christian friends at my church and my Christian school. But what I'm really trying to say is I don't really know how or want to implement conversations and rules around things that can be mostly perfectly fine outside of a little bit. These same people have watched TV their whole life, and there's weird commercials.
Yeah, I think
beer commercials.
I think the other problem that I see when parents aren't having hard conversations because they're worried about a backlash. And I heard something really good on this the other day, by the way. Like you have younger kids or teenage kids and you want them to be your friend because of the way you were raised, and that's so toxic. And what I heard from old John Bevere,
love John Bevere,
come out was your kids can be your friends. They're either going to be your friends when they're little, or they're going to be your friends when they're adults. You get to choose because you don't get both. And so you either screw them up young and they're your friends and all this stuff goes sideways and they don't have the discipline, the understanding, the worldly experience, and then you guys separate and have problems later, or you are a parent, and then when they get older and get out of the house, you start to develop a friendship and you start talking through life together as they do life.
And there's some natural transition to this stuff, guys. I mean, my 11-year-old is still fully dependent on me and his mom for direction and for what's next and how to do it. And little by little, he's learning and has a routine, but still completely fully dependent on that.
Dude, every boy from 11 to 13 just loses their mind. The testosterone comes in and they can't remember two things at once.
But my almost 17-year-old, you can see little transition points to where he's still there on that, but we've also found a few other ways to connect, more like what a friendship could look like in the future, still completely foundationed on him needing me in that moment for some aspect, like job interviews but my conversations with him around this, you can tell, are different than they would be with the 11, just because we are venturing into new little places bit by bit of being father-son, but also like father-friend a little bit. It's not completely unaccounted for, but I let him have a little bit of that friend zone too, so he can, what I want him to learn, right or wrong, what I want him to learn is, even though as he gets a little older and it's having friends and other things going on, that he can still hang out here, have a friend aspect experience, while still knowing that as soon as he violates any of the prerequisites, that'll change fast. And he's recognized that. And what it's done is it's create a little bit of freedom for him to just have his friends around, knowing that, hey, we can have fun and be cool, but the second y'all get weird, I get weird.
Did you ever see, there was a science experiment somebody did with, I think they were 12. They put like 15 or 20 12-year-old boys in a house for like a week. Yeah, for 3 days. And then everything was eaten and destroyed in like 2 hours.
30 minutes.
Yeah, and then they did it to girls and they had like order and they were planning dinner. And so,
I mean, there is,
hold on.
There is mutually beneficial to both parties.
I think there's a great way to describe this when you have kids, right? Bryan, you actually said it really well. So one of the things I'm doing with Cade, I'm going to learn chess. So I'm going to get like Duolingo. He said it was easy. He loves chess, and he's asked me 3 times. I'm like, okay, so on my like growth board, I've removed some of my stuff, and I'm going to learn chess. I need some margin for that because he likes it. He likes going for walks and talking through all of his ideas at night. We start doing that every single night, and he thinks it's cool. I put
Does
a
he
weighted
have
vest on.
ADHD too?
Yeah.
Like you? So
Come on, baby.
funny enough that you guys are looking at chess is it's going to be at the top of the list of what I've read as being ironically very therapeutic for those that experience that, as well as
Man, I might need to get
an
into
interesting
chess.
challenge for the way your all's brains work. Chess is one of those things that ADHD people, as well as moderately or even just autistic people, perform well in
ADHD 's
because of the way
form
your
of
brain's
autism.
designed.
Yeah.
And if you want to get inside somebody with ADHD's brain and understand
Oh.
like calm chaos, is if you take people driving manic on 4 to 5 lanes of highway at once, we can actually think. We can think clearly because there's enough to pay attention to. And so if there's not enough of a dopamine hit or enough to really fully focus our brains, it wants to wander way constantly because it needs a dopamine hit.
Well, probably the reason why chess might work within that explanation then is there's always 4 or 5 moves ahead of the one you're making right now. And you have to be thinking about the other moves while you're making that one. Otherwise, this one might eliminate those.
And it's a relief. I mean, as weird as it sounds for somebody with ADHD, it's a relief to be able to fully focus on one thing.
Well, it's cool that you're going to teach your son also after chess to play blackjack, and he can spend hours of his life in a casino.
He's going to be Rain Man? Yeah.
Here's gambling
Here's how you count cards,
with a
buddy.
cigarette.
Just
So,
Baccarat.
Hey, but in that,
Baccarat's the easiest game to beat the house on.
I can't do
50-50
chances. Minecraft. I told him, I was like,
Yeah.
buddy, I've tried. Let's pick another game. But anything he wants to do, we'll have some man time. We call it man time. And I just do what he likes. In that, though, Brian, like you said, you're 17-year-old. That's fine. He can be 18, 19. It's still your house. There's still order. And to my point, when they did a science test and just studied boys, in the 3-hour span, they destroyed an entire house and ate 3 days worth of food and almost killed each other. Your kids need that structure. And so you still have to be that parent that's consistent and provides structure. That's it. But you can do fun things.
There's just things you've got to do, I think, and we're never going to get them all right. But just even the other day, I made a post which got a little bit of backlash, which I thought was funny because it helped me immediately tell who people were.
Bro, he loves backlash. He lives for backlash.
This
So
one
if you want
wasn't
to
really
backlash
built
on
for
Brian's
that.
post, go on. Pump him up.
If Brian says something stupid, just post little pictures of jeans as the comment.
Well, today I promoted the podcast in a
orange
story
seltzer
with
sucks.
me wearing a skirt. So go check that out.
I did.
But
I thought
that's a leather
you
skirt.
did. thought it was like some hoochie daddy
it
shorts that
AI?
you always talk about, and I was like,
It's me.
what in the heck is
But
this? But yes,
What I the post was I
don't
was
know
just
if that's
wrestling
cool that
with
you're, like, still
Legacy
smiling
the other
about
day, and I just said, hey, boys need to roughhouse.
yes,
Boys, they just need to roughhouse. They need to wrestle around. But the other thing that the kids learn when you're wrestling around with them is the idea around what's fun, but what actually is really dangerous. What kind of thing you can do to control yourself. It's a way to play with them and have fun and tickle, but they're also still learning, Legacy. I'm showing them, how do you start? If you're going to wrestle, this is where you start. So every time we start to wrestle, even though we're just playing and he's about to get tickled, I make him face me up the very same way he would face someone up if he was about to wrestle them or defend himself. So in that moment, he has no clue that he's actually doing that, but he's learning now in every situation he would ever get into that could become physically, as a physical altercation, his instincts will be to set himself in such a way to defend himself, because since he's 4 or 5 years old, every time I set him back up, he's ready, even though he's about to get tickled. No different than when someone's golfing or playing baseball. If you've got your kids that are doing those particular sports and activities, you never, ever, ever let your kid take the batter's box the wrong way. Every single time we talk about set your feet.
yes,
Set your feet.
I'm in that stage right now. Clark wants to
Even
play
though they're
baseball all the
messing up
time.
and they don't know what they're doing, set your feet. Now
Set your
what's gonna-
feet and set your hands the right way too.
Instincts.
Block tap,
They'll-
you have
they'll-
to do the basics.
Yeah,
They'll
I'm
only
like in that
ever
phase
step
with
in there
Clark
and do it
hard.
the right way if you told them the right way. Set your feet. check your feet. Well, wrestling is the same way, but I make this post about roughhousing, and people are just like, oh my gosh, I just can't believe that you're teaching your kids to fight. And I'm like, have you even watched the world at all? You're not teaching your kids to fight?
That's how we got.
You're freaking crazy.
That's how we got to the point we are when you see a video of a man, and I've seen a bunch, beating the living tar out of somebody smaller and usually the opposite sex, and like 8 people standing scared around, including guys. Like, that's the perfect. I mean, for a guy as a protector, that dude's not even looking at you. He should go away quickly, violently.
Well, this post was meant to be funny, I think, that's been going around lately, which I think it is kind of funny, but also if you really just sit on it and think about it, there's so much truth to it. But it says, the point of view on it is, what if, you needed to protect your family from a robber, and all you could really do is let them know what your Apple Watch said about how many steps you took yesterday and your, carb intake. Okay. Yeah. You got to learn how to protect everything. We're living in a world where we're not saying start a fight. Lord, no, we don't want you to start a fight, but what are your kids doing? What are you doing in the movie theater when the dude pulls the gun? What are they doing in a school when an unfortunate crazy person starts to pull out a gun? Well, I'll tell you, the guy at that principal at that school that went viral a couple of weeks ago, you know what he's likely been doing in his life?
In like Ulaga or
the
somewhere?
Dude charged
Oh, it was
the dude.
Yeah.
Paul's Valley.
It was a small
Paul's
school.
Valley,
outlier.
yeah.
it's Paul Valley.
Paul's Valley, yeah. And yeah, he said
charged the dude.
He went at the lion.
He got shot.
And
He
he's
went
an
at the line,
old
yeah.
he's an older guy. Don't even try to convince me this guy's been patty caking around in his life. Obviously a good dude, has made a career, probably a professional, wears ties and ties them right. But still, the second danger showed itself, not one thought went through his head except for to, protect and defend.
And get the weapon.
That guy likely has roughhoused in his life, not in an unsafe way, in a fun way, in a competitive way, and in some form that's so fine for him to be doing. And all I'm saying is not all kids need to be the same. We need every single kind. But if that one thing to where they can at least defend themselves, their own honor, their own family, their own kids in some form, I would challenge that you're raising a generation of kids that will absolutely be walloped by every single thing in their life because of their lack. And then when it comes to the girls, we are designed differently. Women are designed by God in a different way than men, but I'm not against women learning to not only defend themselves and protect themselves in a world that we never knew would exist, but here it is. You want your daughters to be able to protect themselves, not only with their words and boundaries, because that's where it starts. I mean, women need to be able to define what their boundaries are going to be verbally and whatnot. But when things get out of hand, I don't want my daughter any different than my son to not be capable of handling herself in a situation to where she has no other options but to pray and fight.
Yeah.
And I know people are getting silly on this stuff, and I'm a little bit sick of it.
People
but
get silly until there's violence. And
until they need someone.
Yeah, until they need somebody.
I want to protect them by keeping them away from,
You
midnight
can't.
drags. And it wasn't the midnight drags, it was the 8 o'clock drags. But we went ahead and let Boston go with a couple of her friends. And I said, what do you do? And she said, square up. She's like, if I get in a situation, it's either I square up or I don't.
Tara thought it was silly because, I travel a little bit. It's not as bad in Tulsa yet, but in other places, like you just see people randomly just start smoking people for no reason right now. And so she has one of the lights, but a high-powered pepper spray, right, at a minimum. My daughter is going to do jujitsu until she leaves the house because one thing, period, we talk about having to handle yourself. If it's one man and you go to the ground, one thing the upper body on anybody is not stronger than is the hips and technique. And so if somebody is fluid in a high level in that specific sport, it takes a little bit of the weight and force out. And a lot of people that would attack women don't know what they're doing.
We use lacrosse a lot because she plays lacrosse.
There is no doubt we're growing up in a generation of we want to look younger, we want to live longer.
Well, but I think we're coming out of a generation. Like for the people to be like, how dare there be violence? Like we've been asleep. There's violence in every other country, but where you grew up, and then your grandparents, like literally your grandpa was at war.
Well, and because of him, you've never seen fighting on your doorstep because of those men and women. Where I was going with that, Kellen, is we are in a generation, we're smack dab in the middle of it, of we want to look nice. We want to live longer. We want to be attractive. We want to have a certain look. I have no issue with that. Where I'm getting to on that is there's being presentable, wanting to be desired, wanting to be attractive to people. I can deal with most of that. But in a certain way, too, we've gotten to where we're creating and praising and like memorializing pretty men. Like men wanting to be pretty, men, which is the reason why I posted the skirt thing, was getting into that. These men, because of Instagram and because of AI and because of being raised by people that there's no strong foundation or any fundamentals in the household at all from the beginning, not just from one man or one woman or two women or whatever the weird scenario is, being raised in a world to where like they for some reason need to be pretty for people because that's what they think people desire. And I look at some of these pictures of these men and yeah, dude, some of these dudes look great. I mean, I can't get past the idea of like, okay, I want to meet that guy and find out, is he just genetically gifted and he's actually cool and tough and has all these things, or is he what he looks like? And what I'm afraid of is we're raising a lot of pretty men that if it came down to something silly, they're done. And we've got too many. I made a comment the other day because I just saw a whole drove of people that I thought, Lord, I'm old and retired now. We should be retired. We're not having to do those kinds of things. If they called in the war, me and you are too old for that.
We're too old to go.
The problem is as inexperienced as you and I are, just guys that like to mess around a little bit, we probably make up 3 a piece of the nonsense they would choose from today if they were going to go put these dudes in a protective place. I'm like, that guy? I've seen these guys and I'm like, and I said this to this group of people I was in, as like, if we ever get in a large altercation again, we're screwed. Well, because our women are stronger than our damn men.
Well, and it's just been set up that way, and they're not really like
not physically.
Well, no, if you just have somebody authentically walk in like a dude, and sometimes I'm authentically a dude in a room. Women, especially respectful, they respond a certain way to a dude being a dude, like an actual guy, not
because it's what they really want.
It is. Well, and here's what they want. I was talking to my buddy Don, and he caught something. I got a date with my daughter the other week. Went to Shields, and like it was, when you have those
the greatest spot.
Well, and when you have those moments where you're like super proud of your kid. So it's her brother's birthday. They've been fighting all week, and she's like, "Hey, I've got some of this money, like in my piggy bank. Can I use it to buy Bubba my own gift?" And so she's 8. So I'm like, "Yeah, where do you want to go?" We end up at the mall. And we're leaving, and there's a lot of traffic. I'm like, "Sissy, come here and stand on the inside of me." And then it was cool. It just happened on accident. She asked me why. And I said, I said, the street's never safe. Like if something comes off and it hits me first. I can push you out of the way because you're valuable. You are a woman. Women keep the world going. I was like, also, I have a better chance just being bigger of not being as hurt. I said, if it's raining or whatever, it's going to splash up. You aren't going to get wet and all this stuff. You spend more time getting together. You're beautiful. I just kept telling her you're beautiful. And then if there's a threat from a guy, they've got to come through me. And that's where a man needs to be. You may not be like we're starting Grapple Chapel in June.
Yeah.
You may not be Pete, who can, by the way, choke me out in 30 seconds. Like
or anybody for that matter.
Yeah, has spent 30 years for 3 to 4 hours a day within 1 inch of another man, working on breaking bones and choking people out. That's what he does for a living, right? But if you are in some condition, you know what a threat is. And I saw this and I hate it the other day. And you know how to even fall, right? You know how to respond to an impact and things like that because you worked it. You can give anybody 60 seconds to get away, right? And sometimes that may be your job. Is to lay that down because really you're supposed to protect women. That's what men are here for. And there was this big debate on we're equal. And no, men and women are different and equal. And so no woman, when a guy comes up and tries to fight 2 people, is going to be like, "Here, honey, step back. Let me take this 250-pound person on."
Shouldn't. When I get so tired of the whole, like, we're the same conversation. When we say we're not the same, that's not an insult. That's actually a compliment.
Yeah.
We aren't the same in the best ways. I mean, of all the women that I've met in my life, even a couple that didn't go as planned, right? But I could still sit down in a very authentic moment and name the things about them that make them, in a complimentary way, better than men, right? You just can't, unless you're an idiot, you can do that. And women are designed to complement in so many ways. So it's when we say something about being or not being equal, it's not like this insult. It's a thing saying, actually, this is a compliment. You were designed to create a better experience in some of the areas as it pertains to a relationship or just an ongoing thing between men and women. It wasn't it wasn't an entertainment piece, right? They were designed purposeful around ways to make the system better, to make the process better.
Well, and to also, and that's where a lot of women are manipulated to keep harmony. Women don't love conflict. They want places to be harmonious and have peace, and that's how your home's supposed to be. I'll give you a great example. I had about 5 guys, and they started talking about making their wives mad. And I was like, give me some examples. And we all do it. They weren't transitioning from, hey, I'm at work to, hey, I'm at home time. And so every man in this circle, this is how men and women are designed. We're going to die on their sword because they're so mad that their wife said, you said ABC, and they could record it and said, no, I said word for word, this, and this. And I said, what did your face say? What did your tone say? And were you trying to be right? And I was like, because what she heard was what she's saying. Your nonverbals said you're not important, you're dumb, whatever it was. And so when she says back to you, because I've done this with my wife, you're saying this, that's what a woman heard. Because you're somewhat attacking her instead of being open to what she's actually saying and having a conversation. You're trying to be right and win and move on. And so that's one of the ways, even in a conversation, men and women are not the same.
Well, and it kind of goes in, and we're at the tie down spot, but we'll pick it back up next week. I want to talk about this test I did earlier.
Which one was it?
It was, I don't know the actual name of the test, but it was an exercise in the book Reinvent Your Life. And the exercise had to do with, how true are these questions, and so you answer these questions. And then what it does is that's a scoring system around why you might act certain ways. And one of my biggest ones was abandonment, which was funny to me. That wasn't new information to me, but I've said multiple times in my life, people leave. That's the way. I don't ever remember at a time in my life ever thinking that when my dad was younger, but I'm sure at some point in time that switch flipped during that, and it carried on to, the first marriage, to where, largely the experience wasn't a whole lot different than a lot of people I know's ups and downs and mistakes and this and that, but instead, people decide to stop or quit or leave or whatever. And I think, wow, I know multitudes of people now at this age that went through a lot of the same, if not worse things, and decided to keep, clocking in and clocking out and building on it and letting things happen. And then some people get convinced that, there's something better and you've got to do this. And I guess there's some truth to that. It's your life. Do what you got to do. But the most powerful stories come from the people that don't quit in scenarios, I think. And so we've all quit in some ways. I'm 100% responsible for quitting back then too, by not acknowledging or living in enough reality to go, okay, there's probably something fixable or savable here. But when you get hit with shame and guilt, you just go into this weird robotic mode and you just start doing the next thing versus realizing, oh man, there may be something fixable here. But you don't even try because the episode has happened. You think it's over when it's not. And you just move on down the road with that scenario. And then in your mind, what happened to me is it creates this like a stamp inside your mind. Okay, people leave. Well, you're responsible too. There was things there, strategy there, things you could have worked on and potentially, solved the situation or kept it. And so this test was funny because it came up with that. And it also came up with this ability to help you understand why you might think that people are going to do it, why you might position yourself all the time in a way that you do it because you're afraid people are going to choose someone else or they're going to want to be with someone else better.
You're keeping yourself safe based on the frames that life's given you.
Yeah. So, of course, we don't have time to break that down today, but I wanted to give you guys a snippet of something that we could work through and talk to, and the audience that listens, stay tuned next week. I really want to dig into some of the ins and outs of that. I don't know if it'd be a good opportunity to have, Tara or Kevin or someone like that join us. It might be. But also just to introduce the conversation to people around these traumatic events that what I'm realizing is they weren't traumatic to you at the time. At least.
But they build.
It's normal.
Traumatic events build levels.
Well,
and then
and
you start breaking down levels and you're going, oh my, this is from this.
But that's
20 years later.
That's the challenge of a wounded person in your life.
Yeah.
Especially as a kid, they give you their version of broken, but it's normal. And so I know so many people, and I have a couple that I've worked with, and I have a couple in life that if everything got good, they'd create chaos because their whole like if you heard their story, you're just sitting there trying to rack your brain. But for them as a kid, that's what normal is.
Well, and guys, as an 11-year-old, when you go through an event, there is no like AI built into your house like at Iron Mountain, Tony Stark's house where something's happening and that voice that he has programmed tells him everything that's happening. The 11-year-old doesn't get the memo from the speaker in their room saying, okay, parents are getting a divorce. This is a traumatic event. The 11-year-old's designed to cope and be resilient and figure it out. That doesn't mean trauma's not been created. It just means the system has an override in it that tells them you still got to blink, you still got to breathe, you still got to brush your teeth and go to school tomorrow. And that's even in the best of households, by the way, guys. There's a lot of people going through traumatic events at these ages without the right amount of food, security, foundational items that they would need to live, and they're still experiencing these things, therefore making the trauma even heavier in their future to where they're just struggling to survive on top of losing mom or dad or a death or whatever. But what I've learned is that the hardest thing about trauma is just no one ever told you that you were experiencing it. So for you to think you did would be very weird. In fact, if I talk to people that already acknowledge trauma, but they've never even gone through anything about it, I'm interested because I'm like, what made you feel like you had it? Because see, I felt like I had none. Anytime something weird or bad has ever happened in my life, it was like something came in while I was asleep and knitted it together. Thad, you'll know this with your kids. I think about that movie. What's that movie going on in the kid's brain where like the little balls, the memories are rolling around?
Inside Out.
Inside Out.
Inside Out. Yeah, we watched it last week.
I think about Inside Out. If you guys have never seen that movie.
It lets you know how your emotions affect you.
Yeah.
Great kid movie, great family movie. But I think about that intrinsically around trauma too. It's like when you go to sleep after a traumatic event, it's like there's already something at work in your brain, fixing it, covering it up. They're running the marbles through the filter of like, okay, forget this one or store this one or both. And the guys there sweeping off the bad memories, and the girl there is fighting for good and positive, healing things in your mind, is fighting like the little devil on your shoulder when that's like, this one's going to scare him or whatever. That's what I see happening through traumatic events is when you go to sleep, it's just something's happening, like a rewiring's trying to happen. And I told the lady today, I literally have gaps in my life that I don't remember anything large about.
Yep.
Like I know what happened because you told me it did. And I know what happened because, I went to high school there. I didn't go anywhere else. But I can't pull out many memories being at high school. I know I was there. I know people that were there because I'm still friends with some of them.
Your mind's protecting you.
But I don't remember this, that, and the other. Little glimpses of things that I did. It was almost like through that period of time from probably like age 14 on, it's like fast forward buttons. Or like I'm in a different dimension altogether and I have almost no memory, little bitty things. And if you were to tell me a story about a time we were there together, I might go, I kind of remember that. I couldn't, though, in turn tell you that same story if you didn't let me know. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. And so what happens is what we're learning through this is because of those things, likely you were experiencing traumatic events, but you're shutting off. You're moving on. You're doing whatever. It's protection mode, kind of, because how does a 14-year-old deal with that kind of trauma on their own? You can't. Right. So you're built to override, protect, keep doing the basics. Got to breathe. Got to blink, got to eat, got to brush your teeth. And then all of a sudden 100 days has gone by, And so we'll delve into that a little bit next week. And it might be a good opportunity to have someone that could talk about that topic with us. Give us some of the whys and why nots. But just something to think about for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else to
Well,
kind of end us up.
I think from that, because we have a couple people that I know we can bite on. One of them ministers to a lot of guys. He's a counselor in Band of Brothers around trauma specifically. He's a trauma counselor. But past that, if you go through life's events, and this happened to me in my 20s, like I'm burning the ship down at both ends, and I get involved in this church, and I've got 50-year-olds. They're just coming around me. I'm starting this business, do this thing, and they're giving me direction I didn't ask for, but I know they care about me, and they're already like the retired people, right? It would be us with 10 years on us. Successful, involved in church, see young men start hanging around me for no reason and calling me out, even in your first marriage. Can you imagine the people now in your life, and then a guy that's like 10 or 15 years ahead of you that is only spending time with you because he cares about you, like talking into what's actually happening? It would change everything. And so I want to start going through, for everybody listening, either now or, man, if you're 20, we could set you up for success. You start putting about the 5 right kind of people in your life, and there's a lot that you'll avoid because of what those people can do to pour into you.
Right. Well, that's all we got today. Does someone want to close us out?
Yeah, you want to pray?
Prayer?
You want to tell them how to follow, how to...
Yeah, we need to do that.
Like,
You do?
subscribe,
do the
unsubscribe,
whole little social media
resubscribe.
script.
If you're interested in how I fit in that leather skirt,
I
it was
like
harder than
how
it
his
looked.
tone changes when he reads the little do this, that,
Listen
this.
to the
Yeah.
podcast.
Hey, yeah, this has been Get Canceled Podcast. We like to do this on a weekly basis. So you can catch us on Facebook Live Fridays around 1:30 to 2 o'clock. I like to post about when we're going to go. But you can always find us on all the major streaming platforms like Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube. So we would love for you to give us a review as well. 5 stars at the bottom of each podcast. As well, if you go back up to the top, there are 3 dots. If you click those, you can share it, copy the link onto your social media. We really, really appreciate the feedback that we're getting, the comments that we get, and questions.
Don't know what to post, just put pictures of jeans.
Even the arguments. So, anyways, I'll close us out in
Let's do it, brother.
prayer, and
hit it.
we'll move on down through the weekend. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to have conversations like this. Not from a position really of experience or expectation or perfection, more so from just trying to figure out how to do it, just like everyone else. You're making mistakes, trying to correct them as you go. Thank you for the ability to seek you in those moments of being numb, being lost, kind of off the rails. We all have those times in life, and you're there kind of still waiting for us, trying to round us up, bring us back to center. Thank you for the grace and forgiveness that you provide from dying on the cross for our sins. And for anyone that is needing or wanting or desires to know what that's all about, for those opportunities, we thank you and appreciate the ability to be able to speak into them. And thank you for the love you provide us and the way that you teach us how to be with other people. We pray that everyone has a good and safe weekend. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
And don't forget to
Get canceled.
Canceled.